Hey everyone, it's Alicia Atout and welcome back to Knotfest Heavy Conversations. Today I'm joined by our fellow Knotfest hosts and writers, Cori Westbrook and Ramon Gonzales. Hello, how has everybody been? How is your day going?
Better
Oh,
now
it
that I
is
got coffee.
splendid.
And mine's better now that I'm here chatting with you two. We had Aubrey in the mix for a second, your adorable dog over there, so it's
Yeah,
a good start.
you might hear him bark in the background. I'm coming to you live from my backyard. So hey, shh, girl.
We're always welcoming new guests, so
Yeah,
it's no problem here.
they may pop in.
We have a few things to dive into, but the main topic for today's conversation is kind of seeing how the lines over time have been blurring between metal and hardcore, whether at live shows, seeing musical collaborations, just huge tours as of right now. We're seeing a big change in just the mentality as well of metal fans. So I'd love to get your take on this because I know you recently, Ramon, actually had a really big experience that kind of meshes perfectly with this topic. So if you'd like to take it away first, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to Psycho Las Vegas just this last weekend. 4 days, every possible metal band, hardcore band on the planet that's relevant right now. Like the diversity in terms of the lineup was just unbelievable. And I thought what was really important was the kind of reception that was going on within the crowds. Usually you go to a festival, there's always some sort of wild card that's in the lineup. And I think people, at least their initial reaction is to go, oh, that's an interesting pick, or to talk shit, frankly. This doesn't go, there was none of that. I was able to bounce between stages and see like Inspect the Deck and Jizza, and then go see I don't know, like Amin Ra. And the universal sort of like welcome that all of these artists got was unbelievable. I was watching guys in Gangstar t-shirts sing black metal songs. I was watching guys in black metal t-shirts sing every Wu-Tang lyric ever. It was that kind of like dismissal of genre divide that made me feel really proud to be involved in this space. Particularly, I got to see Drain play, and this is kind of the thing that kind of kicked off this conversation. Drain's a hardcore band, kind of that leading the charge right now in terms of like California hardcore. Younger guys out of Santa Cruz. They had a 2020 album, California Cursed, that was just, I mean, it made every best of list that year. They played to a ballroom of kind of skeptical metalheads. They asked that question, is this your first time seeing us? There was a resounding majority of people that were there for the first time. And I actually sent over a video. I don't know if we'll get to that, but if you look towards the very end of their set, there's a whole back room in the ballroom of people with their arms folded, just watching what's going on stage. And you can tell they want to get involved. They're watching people stage dive. They're watching people hardcore dance. The pit's going nuts. And they want to get involved, but it's like, I'm not used to this. This isn't what happens at a metal show. And the singer managed to get everyone to come up. He's like, this is our last song. So this is the part of the stage where forget the barricade. He didn't say it that nicely, but forget the barricade, come up here with us, and made it a very communal sort of experience. Another detail that's super important is they kept the lights on for the show. In this ballroom, it was very performative. It was very theatric. Lights were down. Stage production was, firing off. Not for Drain's set. Lights were on the whole time. It was very much about sharing the stage. And I thought it was really poignant. I thought it was one of the highlights of the weekend to see a band that a lot of people were maybe skeptical about or maybe didn't feel belonged, convince an entire ballroom to just go, hey, fuck all of that. Just get involved, just participate, just have fun. And if you watch the video, I mean, there were more people on the stage that were on the floor by the end of the set. And I mean, I kept my camera going the whole time. It was just incredible to watch. And given that they just played Sound and Fury, and then a couple weeks later they go to Psycho, I think that's one of those bands that is really kind of leading the charge in terms of kind of dismissing that gatekeeper mentality that has always existed in heavy music, unfortunately.
Right. No, that's incredible to see because we always talk on this show about how much metal is about camaraderie, and we all, for the most part, dive into so many genres, especially when we're, we talk a lot of metal and hardcore and heavier stuff on Knotfest. But outside of that, like I know for myself, I listen to all genres across the board. I just happen to also really love heavy metal. So for me, when I go to gigs and I see that the nuances of so many different genres being shown and represented, I'm all about it. But I've seen it so many times where you have your people at the side or at the back and they're trying to not tap their toes or get their heads nodding just because they love, let's say, death metal, but they can't like hardcore. And I think the whole concept of that is crazy. It's a little baffling, but it's amazing to hear that you actually saw it firsthand change in front of, hundreds of people within one room. So switching it now to Cori, have you kind of experienced that, or are you seeing that change as well within the industry and just within music in general?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm seeing it a lot with the younger crowd who just really, they don't have that old hat mentality of this is your genre, this is my genre. We're going to put a wall between these genres. The younger crowd don't give a fuck. And I'm seeing like two renaissances go on right now that are like starting to converge. You've got the hardcore renaissance where hardcore is very much coming to the forefront again. It's becoming very, very popular again. And then you've also got the death metal renaissance that's going on right now. And the two are crossing over in such a way that it like warms my soul. Cause you had death metal bands. You were talking about Sound and Fury. You had death metal bands on that lineup. There were death metal bands at this traditionally hardcore festival, and people were rowdy as fuck. People were getting into it. I saw videos. I wasn't there, sadly, but I mean, I have secondhand bruises from the videos that I saw, and it's in the best freaking way. But I mean, this happened once before with Hatebreed. And you brought up Drain, and I could honestly see that band doing what Hatebreed was doing, 20 years ago, breaking down those barriers again that inexplicably got put back up for some reason. Like, quit doing that, people.
Yeah.
And they're kind of leading that charge, like you pointed out, between, the hardcore kids, the metal kids, breaking down all of those barriers. And I love to see it. I love to see more people becoming involved with the genre because we need that for the survival of our genre, just point blank. Like
So
metal
true.
will not survive without more fans, and the more walls we build up, the less fans we're going to have. So like, again, quit doing that, people. If you can't tell from my mildly irritated face, like quit doing that. Just enjoy what you enjoy. And
Exactly.
Psycho, Sound and Fury, I love to see these bigger names, these bigger festivals getting involved with this. Fuck the genres. We're going to play what's awesome, what's fun. We're going to bring everybody together and everybody's going to have a good time.
I think if there was a common denominator though, because you are 100% right, Cori, in saying how death metal and hardcore seem to be kind of converging. I would
They
also
do.
argue
They
I would
are.
also argue that deathcore, it would be in that mix as well. But I feel like the authenticity factor is the common denominator there.
Very
They're
true.
all very much kind of community based sort of genres, subgenres, and everyone really kind of encourages the idea of participation. Everyone. There's no more barricades. I know that I keep bringing up the barricade, but I think that that's very important, both literally and figuratively. For Sound and Fury, there was no barricade, which is like baffling for a festival of that size. But it was super important that there was no barricade.
I've never
And
heard of that at a festival. Like
no
no
barricade.
barricade at all. That's wild to me.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
had the
And
ability to
Good on
jump right
them.
on stage, and had it gone any other way, if there was a barricade, I don't know that it would have been as effective of a festival. And that is just kind of, it's metaphoric in that we're now seeing that barricade being broken down across genre lines too. And to your point, Cori, like I watched those death metal bands like Gatekeeper and Creeping Death, that would typically not be on a hardcore festival crush. They were received with open arms. It wasn't even a wild card. It was very much, oh yeah, this is
this makes
just
sense.
another great band that I can be stoked about. So I love seeing that it's no longer even a talking point anymore. It might be for like old guys like me, but it's for everyone else that's active, for that younger generation that's participating, that's going to shows, that's buying merch, that's downloading albums, that's buying records. Like it's not even a talking point for them anymore. It's just all part of the bigger picture in terms of the kind of music they like. It's not even heavy. It's just authentic. It's just real. It's theirs.
It's just music.
100%.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
like speaking of the barricade and everything, like when I went the Chaos and Carnage tour, since you brought up Deathcore, the like 8 million Deathcore band bill that was just completely irresponsible. There was no barricade at that show either. I was up on stage for a number of those bands. They probably got a little bit sick of me, and I'm 90% sure I'm a member of at least one of them unofficially now. But but it's just, yeah, seeing all, and another one that's kind of leading the charge on these breaking down of the barriers is Dying Wish. You see them pop up on so many different it's like, okay, wait, they fit with Code Orange, they fit with Hatebreed, they fit with these guys, they fit with these guys. And it's like, I like, much like Drain, I like seeing that one come through as well, leading the charge on bringing that hardcore scene to a lot of different bills, a lot of different places.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying we were also discussing Deftones a couple weeks back and how they had hardcore bands on the upcoming tour. And it's like, if we have more bands like that who are so well known within this community and just so well respected by so many music lovers around the globe, people are going to start to realize it's not about genre anymore. Like it's really not. You can subcategorize, you can call it what you want, but like if you love a tune or a band, like this is the way I've always been, just love them for what they're putting out there. And if you don't like them, cool. Like just don't stand by their shows when they're performing. Go see somebody else if you got a problem with it. I think for me that's what it comes down to. So I really do hope that we start seeing more of these bands kind of lead that path and take charge and say, hey, this is cool, this is what we're doing now, this is the new way to bill a show or a concert or a festival. I think it's just really promising now, and it's amazing for music lovers because now you get a little taste of everything for some of these huge festivals. So I think it's just a win-win across the board, and I hope more people open their eyes up to that.
To your point, Alicia, Limp Bizkit just took Skal out on tour as well. And, that's definitely kind of one of those combinations where on paper, it might have not made sense. It went over well. It went over incredibly well. So I agree. I hope that the veterans of the genre kind of see the merit in what's going on, and they nurture that, and they take them out on tour. They give them the platform to succeed and to thrive. And I mean, the fans are going to be the ones that get to benefit from that. So it's very cool.
Absolutely. Anything to add to it, Cori, or shall we move on to our questions?
Oh, let's move on to our questions, because I like talking about all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, too. I just can't wait to hear what bands I've never heard of that you're going to bring up that I get to dive into later. My sweetheart. So yeah, if we're going to talk about our tracks of the week, just your favorite tune that you are currently listening to. And again, it can be new, it can be old, just something you're really, really vibing with. So Cori, I'll let you take it away since you're psyched about it.
Oh, well, one, Escuela Grind. All is Forgiven. That track, badass. Go listen to them, do it, do the thing, listen to that band. Terminal Sleep is another one. We actually just interviewed them on Pulse of the Maggots. They have exactly one track out, and that is how impressive that this band is and how much promise they have. Speaking of hardcore, they have one song out, and they're already coming on our shows here. It's like, I'm so unbelievably excited for this band. They're out of Australia. Super, just genuinely kind, sweet people. And then of course I would be remiss if I didn't have at least one touch of black metal in there. That band Black Braid with their new track. Their album comes out on Friday. And holy shit, Native American black metal, you got your folky touches. It's, speaking of authenticity, is completely authentic. Even his corpse paint is not traditional corpse paint. It is traditional to him and to his heritage. It's just in black and white. And it's unbelievably powerful what he has created. He's got that kind of black metal that feels like it's conjuring mountains up around you with the sheer power of the music. So Escuela Grind, if you haven't listened to them, go listen to them. Terminal Sleep, if you haven't listened to them, do it. Black Braid, if you haven't listened to him, go freaking do it.
Pretty much just go listen to
everybody who is watching this. Like, I'm watching you. I will pop up under your bed if you don't go listen to those songs.
She will, definitely. I would definitely not be remiss to say I would expect that from you, which I kind of love. But Ramon, how about you? What's the tune that you're absolutely loving right now?
I went on a psycho deep dive just because I was there for 4 days and I got to see an awesome mix of artists. I got to tell you, I was able to watch Merciful Fate perform their first domestic show for the first time in 23 years, and
Wow.
it was church. It was absolutely church to watch the fans probably see an artist that they never thought that they would get to see. There was an international contingent of people that were there, and to be totally honest with you, I felt like I didn't have the right to be there. The fans are diehards, and you watch songs from Melissa happen live that are almost 40 years old, and they still stand up. And I can't think of anything that lasts that long that is still that powerful. It was incredible to watch. The band was just operating at tip top. They were peak. So yeah, I mean, Merciful Fate has just been cranking since I saw it live. It's been great. I second Cori's Escuela Grind. That band is destined for great things. They're a trio, which is even better because you're watching three people make this massive wall of sound, and it is visceral and violent, and it is, I mean, it's shit that will make you flip your table over. It's a fantastic mix of that volatility that you're looking for in that kind of music. Lastly, I'm a sucker for Wu-Tang. I'll always be a sucker for Wu-Tang. And I got to see a lot of Wu-Tang over the weekend. Unfortunately, Method Man didn't make his flight, so Method Man didn't make it. But Spectre Deck was there, Jizza was there, Raekwon was there, and it's really impressive to see how I know we've talked about this a bunch in this conversation, but you know, there's certain hip hop artists that just cross over well into heavier music, and I think whether it be their imagery or their thematic kind of weight that's going on there. There's just certain artists that always do that. I think West Coast gangster rap does well with heavy artists. I think Wu-Tang does well. I think Mobb Deep does well, that kind of stuff. And to be able to see Wu-Tang live, it just sent me on a deep dive into Wu-Tang. And I've been exploring Wu-Tang forever for the last day or two. So that's my picks.
That's one of my favorite things is when you leave a show of a band you already love, and for some reason it just makes you love them so much more after seeing them live, or maybe not seeing them live in a really long time, and you kind of just get that takeaway of, man, like they have such an impact on me, I can't stop jamming them. So it's awesome you had that takeaway.
Very cool. Very cool.
No, I think for me, I've been on this kind of road of listening to a lot of emo rock singer-songwriter stuff, and Julia Jacqueline released a new single called Be Careful With Yourself, which was released a couple days back. Normally her songs are super sad and somber, tug at your heartstrings to the maximum, but this one has more of a rock groove to it, and her lyricism across the board is just stunning. So she's releasing a new record called Pre-Pleasure in about a month's time, so I cannot wait to dive more into that. Again, a bit more chill than obviously what you guys have named, but it really does have like just a groove that's super there. I'm obsessed with it. So that would definitely be my pick. And then we're going to dive into tour festival just announced that you're most excited about. I felt like this week a little bit at the start, I was thinking to myself, oh no, like what are we going to talk about? Not a ton has been released, but then I saw the Bad Omens tour, and it's not just for America, it's for Canada, which made me very, very happy, but it's with Dayseeker and Make Them Suffer, and I think that's going down later this fall. They'll be playing songs off of their newer record, and for me, like, I saw Make Them Suffer a few times playing to maybe 100 people here, so to see them on a bigger stage, bigger production, playing with bands who are bigger, like, I cannot wait for that. So yeah, that's definitely my pick for the week, but Cori, what's yours?
Well, I was initially very, very stoked for the Catatonia tour that was announced. Ramon probably knows why I'm no longer stoked for it, because there's no Oregon date. Come on, people. It's your first tour in 5 years and you leave me out.
That happens to you so often. I do feel bad.
It's so heartbreaking, but seriously, props to them. I love Catatonia. I mean, if I ever feel like needing to have my soul devastated, I will put on some Catatonia and just you know, let them completely ruin my day or make it better depending on your perspective. There was also the Ginger POD Vended Malevolence freaking tour that was announced. Speaking of just insane lineups that look weird on paper, but I am confident they're going to be totally boss. And of course, my inner 12-year-old is like, POD is on tour. Like,
yeah, I think we all saw that thinking, ooh.
my inner freaking Hot Topic 12-year-old who was jamming back, you know, when that was my heaviest. music. So those two I'm pretty stoked for. And then, of course, since I just interviewed them today, I'm going to shout them out. Electric Callboy is going to be on tour, and they're not skipping Oregon. So yeah, I'm going to
There you
that one
go.
for sure. They're not skipping me. They
Man, like,
they knew. They were like,
they
no,
just
wait,
knew.
we have to go to Oregon. There's a redhead there that will have a moment if we don't. So
Very cool.
Now they were so much fun live when I saw them across the pond. Like they just brought the energy to the maximum. And there are some songs you hear on record that are really kinetic and you think, oh my goodness, this would translate well live, and it doesn't, but they delivered on every track. So I love seeing that.
All energy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
high energy. Ramon, what would your pick be?
I want to go to this Napalm Death Brujeria tour that's happening. I love watching Shane go ape shit on stage. I think Barney's one of the greatest vocalists ever on the planet. Brujeria's like late 90s, early 2000s stuff is just insane. It's still great. It's got great legs. I love all of it. Trying to think of what other tours were announced. I would agree with you guys. That Ginger POD tour, I was very taken back by that combination, and I'm super intrigued. But I got to tell you, the band that I'm super stoked to see on that bill is Malevolence.
Yeah.
That band is the shit, and they're getting comparisons to Pantera, and I didn't get it at first. But what I think is that people kind of are subscribing to that groove that they have. They hit like a fucking sledgehammer, and I want to go experience that live. I know that they're massive in the UK. So I'm stoked to see what they bring across the pond. And you know, with travel being what it is, and with touring being as expensive as it is, and all that other good stuff, I just don't want to miss an opportunity to see a band if they're in the States, because I don't know when they're coming back. So I would highly recommend people go see Malevolence. That band is the shit. One more time. Malevolence is the shit.
And get it right, guys. The shit, not the shits. So you definitely got to check them out
The
live.
shit. Yes.
Well, I want to say thank you so much to both of you for joining me this week on Knotfest Heavy Conversations. It's been fantastic being able to dive right into these topics. So, of course, everyone watching, on behalf of our wonderful Knotfest members, Cori Westbrook and Ramon Gonzales, and our special furry guest, Aubrey, I've been Alicia Atout, and we will see you next week. Bye,
Later.
everybody.